Hey everybody, please join me for my live Q&A with Diana Pagano. We went into a deep dive on what successful people do to get over fear. What are the resources that people who make it into that top 1% consistently use to get the results that they want? Here's the interview. Can't wait to see you there. Thanks for joining us. This is a wonderful and rare opportunity here. Regina's joining us from Switzerland.
From Greece.
Greece. Oh my God.
Greece.
We are freezing our asses off here in the Nashville, not normally, but we just had an ice storm here and you can't believe how destructive ice is. Tree branches all over the place.
Only fire is worse.
I lived in Los Angeles for a whole bunch of years too. I was in a fire once. Literally I saw the fire come over the hill, burned the fence down around the house. We had horses. We were out with hoses, keeping the house from lighting on fire and the barn from lighting on fire because it was a tinderbox. So yes, I've been through there too. Okay, well, this is a wonderful, rare opportunity. Diana is the author of The More Mindset, Break Mental Limits and Step into Extraordinary Results. We've been working together for a few weeks so we can share some goodies about each other's expertise. But we wanted to do a show on fear because fear is the thing that keeps so many people from reaching their success. And once you remove it, or at least portions of it, what it opens up in terms of mental health, physical health, emotional health, and just success across the board is tremendous. So I'm going to turn it over to Diana to do a little brief introduction. She just hit the USA Today bestseller list, so maybe she can give us some pointers on how she did that. Welcome, Diana.
Thank you, Dr. Tara. Thank you for having me. Hello, ladies. And I don't know if there's any gentlemen on here, but welcome. It's an honor to be here with you, Dr. Tara. Thank you for having me. Yes, The More Mindset. I have it on my shelf. It's just always on there, but here it is. Definitely hit the bestsellers list. It's been my work, my journey. Every one of you and everyone that has a heartbeat has a story to tell. Oftentimes people are like, I'm going to keep it to myself, but wait, did it change your life? Did you do something? Did something happen? What was that thing that changed your life? Because others need to hear that story. I've had people that share their story and make impact, but they don't put themselves out there, but they have something else of service or product. It's a beautiful thing. I think that's when you really align yourself with your absolute true purpose. So yes, I'm an action-driven mindset coach. So I come into corporations. I've led trainings for leadership development or sales teams to really make shifts that need to happen to just perform at a higher level. It's not about doing more. It's about becoming more of who you were meant to become. And that might sound a little funny. Like, what do you mean? I'm meant to be something else. I like who I am. It's not about that there's anything wrong with you. It's that what parts of you are you playing small, or not even playing small, but staying in a comfort zone and worried about what they might say about you or what your limits might be. People think that you need to have all this money or all this education or have the connections. And that's not true. I don't come from money. I don't come from any connections. I came from very humble beginnings. I came from nothing. And I teach all of this in the More Mindset and in my coaching that I do. I don't really do one-on-ones anymore because I have I'm at capacity right now, but I've done group coaching. And all of it's the same, whether you're in your 50s, if you're in your 20s, even some, teenagers, I've had the pleasure to, their parents wanted me to coach them for a short time. Whatever it is, whatever journey you're in, nothing gives me more satisfaction than to see the results that follow when you do the work and all the things I talk about in the More Mindset. If some of you have known me, I also host the podcast, the Make Things Happen podcast, which Dr. Tara, you're going to come on as a guest very soon.
I'm excited.
And I'm a international keynote speaker as well. So honored to be here.
And I love it that you said you came from humble beginnings, because a lot of people say, oh, well, it's easy for you. You have the connections, you have the looks, you have the outgoing personality. And tell us a quick story about some fear that you overcame in your life and how that was a game changer for you.
Absolutely. Thank you for the looks. I mean, holy cow, how many times I look at my nose, I'm like, I broke my nose at 21.
Oh my God, girl.
I swear. No, we all have our insecurities. I don't care who you are. If you're, the most motivational speaker or the actress, Gwyneth Paltrow, all of us, ugly, pretty, doesn't matter. Like we all have our insecurities. And I don't think that changes, right? People say you're so confident. And I'm like, you should have seen the first time I did a video because I
Actually, I'll speak to that. No, I know a woman. She is one of the most gorgeous women I know. She's smart. She's an amazing human being. And I when she said that she thought she was just so ugly, I almost fell over. It is so nuts. And doing the work that I'm doing, that's the magic, is going in and finding out what that block is that's subconscious. It's in the blind zone. And when you see that and you change it, literally this whole cascade of this domino effect thing happens.
Oh, 100%. Yes. And you said it so beautifully. Like it's unconsciously. There's things that you don't even realize are holding you back, but it's so unconscious habits. And sometimes oftentimes it's even inherited where you're like, where did this come from? I just believed this thing. And so, yes, I mean, I've had, I can't even tell you how much fear I've had in my life. And I realized that the fear is not the thing that holds you back. It's your approach to the thing, right? You might say, well, it is a recession, or all of us remember COVID, right? Like everybody felt crippled. We all had to hide in a basement, right? So whatever your circumstances, right? It doesn't matter what it is. If it's your health, if it's, you're unemployed, if it's, your business, you just had to lay off 10 people, whatever it is, right? It's not the problem, the challenge that you're dealt, right? Because that sucks. Sometimes you're right. Like it's the economy or what have you. You got to just work differently. It's your approach to the problem. It's your reaction to the problem. And I don't mean your reaction when you lose your SHIT for a second, right? You're a human. I think there's such a misconception in the work that we do is that, oh my gosh, your emotions, like you can't get mad. You're supposed to be positive 24/7, 365. It just doesn't exist. We're humans. You don't see the parts that we struggle with, or the parts that this. And quite frankly, I'm very open in my platforms. I've cried on camera. I just don't care because that's just who I am, and it wouldn't be real to not show that. But Dr. Tara, back to what you were saying is in terms of fear. The biggest fear. I've had so many different fears. A single mom once upon a time, and just my biggest fear drove me, believe it or not, to have financial success on the outside. I'll sit with that for a second. When you think about it, like what? That was your fear? You actually got financially successful because of fear? Yes. Isn't that crazy? But it broke me. That's not the life you want to live. I don't care. You're chasing the money. That's great. We need to pay our bills. We want to go on vacations. We want to provide for our loved ones, what have you. There's a purpose for sure. But it can't be your driver. You got to have something more, that you're not losing yourself in the process of your journey of financial stability. And for me, I grew up in San Diego, once family of 6 in a 2-bedroom apartment, and my parents were struggling entrepreneurs. And I say entrepreneurs, you might think, oh, that's cool, they have their own business, but that's a whole nother story. But the point is that we came from nothing. It was always getting evicted from our 2-bedroom apartment. My brothers never had their own bedroom until they were almost 18. And even then everyone has a story. I even hate saying that because I'm like, I was in America. I'm in San Diego, California, where the beach was not far. And I'm sitting here saying that we grew up in a 6-bedroom apartment. But the point is, it was just instability. We always moved. The minute I started making friends at 9 years old, at 11 years old, at 12 years old, whatever age, all ages until I was 18. And then we had to get up and move. And so that the fear I had once upon a time later in life in my 20s, and as at that time, got divorced and had 2 small children as a single mom, my fear was that I was going to have the same reality that I had growing up, and having to uproot my kids and move out because I couldn't afford the rent or the mortgage or whatever happened. And so that drove me to the bone. And I share this many times. I was like Pac-Man because I went into real estate at the time. I was like Pac-Man, just going and getting everything I could eat, and that drove me. Yeah. And so that was a fear, Dr. Tara, of many that I've had to overcome, and realize that the fear doesn't change. The fear might always be there. The fear that this might not work out. The fear that are you good enough? Those thoughts, because of the way that our brain is wired to keep us safe, to try to attempt to look for what can go wrong. Right. And so I think that that's where it comes from. That doesn't mean that tomorrow I might not face something fearful. It's just that now I have a different approach to fear. Right. And I think that that's what determines for you how things turn out for you. Right. is how you approach that fear and what's your go-to for that.
Hey guys, studies are showing that 68% of people that watch podcasts regularly don't click the subscribe button. Do me a huge favor. If you like this content, click subscribe so other people know where to go for the cool stuff. Thank you. That is so interesting that you say that, because a lot of successful people are driven by fear early on in life. And it's the carrot or the stick. And they're very stick motivated early on because it's do or die. You better succeed at this, or it ain't gonna work out well for you. But then later on, you find yourself either approaching burnout, and that can be serious, because if you just reach a point where you just don't care anymore and don't want to get out of bed, you've got to develop that inner, what is my mission in life? What is the thing that turns me on? What am I passionate about?
100%.
So I love that. I love
yes, and I think that fear is sometimes there to make you aware. Like, what are my options? Well, you have 2 options, you have 3 options, whatever your options are, and you go each one. Well, what's my pros and cons for each one? And right, and so fear is a real thing, but it cripples you. And I always say that you can control that. You have a choice to make. That's one thing that no one can ever take away from us. I was coaching somebody that has a 3-year-old, and she's afraid to get back into the workforce because she's terrified leaving her child with a stranger, a daycare, a preschool. And I'm like, you think about that, right? You're letting fear drive your life. Every decision that you make is either going to move you forward or it's going to hold you back or keep you the same. Every decision has an outcome. Every decision has an outcome. Sometimes you make the best decision that you know how at that moment, and it leads you down a path that maybe wasn't the right path, but you have to learn from that. It's not about making the right decisions all the time. It's just having the guts to just make a decision, take the action, right? And so when you're coming from a place of faith, of possibilities, then you're going to make, more than likely, your chances goes up. The probability goes up that you're going to make a good decision. But when you're coming from a place of fear, the good chances are you're going to make a bad decision, right? And so when you are faced with something and fear's in the forefront, because part of our brains are supposed to look at all the things that might go wrong. And not to mention, and let me just preface this, because New Year's resolutions is probably dying down by now. It's February, right? And the reason why is because we live over 89% of the time, look it up, it's science, we live on an unconscious pattern of habits. So the minute you try or attempt to do something different, your unconscious is uncomfortable. And believe it or not, there's a sense of energy that tries to lure you back and be like, wait a minute, Diana, Melissa, Stephanie, Greg, you're doing something different right now. Like, no, let me keep you over here because that's what's comfortable. But as long as you know that, then the new thing you try to do, or the habit you try to, whether it's, I don't have time, I have kids, I have this, you do have time. It just hasn't been a priority. I don't care what it is. You do have time. And that's a reality. That's hard for people to swallow. You don't know my life. Could you go to sleep 45 minutes earlier and wake up 45 minutes earlier? Right? These are things that you have to sacrifice for sure. Like, right? The point is that's the habits that you form. And it sounds corny, but you've heard this muscle. If I go to the gym, let's pretend you have somebody that says, I want a 6-pack. I don't want a 6-pack. But if somebody did, they're going to go to the gym and they're going to do the work. And you're not going to see it on day 3, but eventually you're going to start seeing the same thing with habits and the new habits that you form by taking action, even just one small step that you do, even just getting up an hour earlier to do the thing that you don't have time to do in the normal 8-hour workday or 24-hour work, whatever you have. That starts to create a shift, and that's backed by science. So
that's huge. Yeah. What is your real priority? Not the priority that you wish and hope was your priority, but what is actually your priority? It's the difference between audio and video. What are you saying, and what is your life demonstrating? Well, I'd love to open it up to question and answer, because it's just so special to have the opportunity to have our wonderful people here and be able to connect with them and answer their questions. So anybody, if you just want to unmute yourself and chime in, the only silly question is a question that you don't ask. Right. So feel free to jump in. Who's got a question? Or you can type it in the chat box, whatever you prefer.
Oh, looks like we had.
Oops, I gotta. Welcome, Lynn. Welcome all the new people who jumped on after we got started. Who's got a question for Diana?
I'll go. I'll ask one.
Great. Oh, Alexandra, nice to see you.
Yeah, good to see you. So I'm just curious with over like everything that you're saying makes total sense. I align with all of it. And I feel like there are different ways to work through. I think very much like you're saying, there are some fears that we need to have. Like there's a reason why we have fear. And I'm just curious for you if you have found like tools or ways that you have been able, like you said, it's about how we react, how we respond to the fear. And if there is anything in particular that worked for you and being able to create a new practice around it so that when fears do come up, now you kind of have this tool that you can lean on for.
Absolutely. I love that you asked that. You know, and this is from my neurolinguistic programming background, is that the first thing you want to do is interrupt the pattern of thinking. So when you know you're having a thought and you're like, oh no, why am I thinking that I'm going to miss my plane? Why am I thinking that I'm not going to get the customer or the deal or whatever, right? The minute you start out, those thoughts, it's first identifying awareness that you, and I think all of us have awareness, but now it's at the forefront. When you're having a thought that does not serve you, it doesn't matter if every news on the freaking channels are all telling you the same thing. It doesn't matter. Does it serve you or not? Okay, so you have a choice. And let me tell you something that you mentioned, or Alexandra, what's my tool? It's the same that I teach. And it's the same thing that got me through and still does. It's still my toolkit. I have to use it. And there's two things. You change the channel. You're focused on a channel of defeat. You're focused on the channels of whatever you feel. For example, if I'm feeling like insecure about my talk that I'm about to do, well, where's that coming from? Past fears, past doubt, past criticism, whatever, outside noise, right? And so that takes hold, and then and you can spiral. So if I change my channel of focus by saying, no, it is going to work out. First off, it reduces your stress hormones. When you reduce your stress hormones, you feel better. When you feel better, you're going to make better decisions, right? And it's all your channel. Truly, I know it sounds very simple, but it's your channel of focus. So understand that when you're nervous, when you're fearful, when you're doubting, when you're sad, whatever emotion that doesn't serve you, you have a choice to stay on that channel. Imagine you're watching a show and it makes you feel anxious and you're like, it's suspenseful. I've seen my husband when he used to watch True Blood and I'm like, why do you watch this? It's giving you anxiety, right? Or you're watching a show that's making you laugh and it's right. It's the same thing with our minds. It's like channels playing in the background. So that's the first thing. My son, who's 10 years old, and I say this as a metaphor because it's so true. He has asthma. I'm trying to get him off the inhaler. He doesn't use it very often, but when he has like allergies and stuff. So I look at change the channel and I write that in my book, The More Mindset. It's almost like your rescue inhaler, Alexandra, because we're not going to avoid every negative thought that comes our way. It's just reality. We have over 60,000 thoughts a day, right? And all the negative thoughts, believe it or not, over 90%, if not more, are false assumptions that we make. And I always say fear is false evidence that appears to be real, but it actually isn't, more times than not. Can you imagine all the times all of you might have worried in your life? And how many times, if you had to just guess in your top of your mind, did you worry and it wasn't as bad as you thought, right? And so I would interrupt the pattern, change the channel, and just for a moment, you don't have to look delusional. You imagine people think I'm delusional, I have this problem and I'm changing the channel. Yes, because it's not just the act of changing the channel, it's what follows. It's the frequency. From a neuroscience perspective, you're creating new neural pathways in your own brain. Believe it or not, that's why we are our greatest asset, or we could be our greatest enemy, unfortunately, right? And it happens all the time. It's not about eliminating and being scared to think of a negative thought. It's just don't stay there. Get your rescue inhaler, start thinking differently. And I would say one thing, I do this when I talk on stage all the time. I'll stop randomly in the middle of my talk because I'm so passionate. Even good things can not stress us out, but create this feeling. So I would stop and breathe. Whatever fear is having, it's like, is this real or is this me making up a bunch of assumptions? And just take a breath. It calms your nervous system and all the what if, and it starts to spiral. That you just interrupted the pattern and you gave your mind a new focus. So a lot of things are going to change and it'll just become habit. It'll be habitual. We're like, nope, we're changing the channel. I'll be delusional all damn day. Because let me tell you something, I'd rather be delusional. And then I assess it. I'm like, wow, that delusional mindset actually brought me better things. It doesn't mean that nothing bad is going to happen. It just means that you're living a little differently to challenges. And now you're going to attract better things to come your way. I
I
hope
love that. It's about ethically tricking the mind.
true. It's what governs everything. Our mind is dictating everything, how we feel, how we think, the belief that we have. Because I say this a lot. You don't always get what you want, right? You don't always get what you want. But this is not, but when the flip side, you always get what you believe. If I believe that this circumstance is going to crush me, it more likely will. If I believe that I could be the 1% that will make it out of this bad situation, guys, this isn't positive, like woo woo, a genie in a bottle. This is the reality that it has happened time and time and time again. The way that I discovered it is my own life, my own awareness of my own behavior, my own human behavior. And then I started to study and look in science and the brain. I got so obsessed. I'm like, this is no longer a coincidence. Why do people succeed when all the odds were against them? And trust me, there's times that I'm like, I'm going to beat the odds and I don't get what I want. I didn't get the thing. So this isn't like 100% you get whatever you think about, whatever you positively shift your mind, you're going to get. It's not a genie in a bottle, but it's everything. It's everything that you do on a daily basis. Those habits of changing the way that you think, it changes how you feel. If I'm thinking negatively and things that just make me feel bad, I'm not going to feel good. Chances are I'm not breathing like I should be breathing. And then it creates anxiety. But if I want to feel better, then what am I focused on? I've had the pleasure of coaching so many people that have had anxiety, depression. I am not a psychologist. I don't claim to have I don't have a PhD. I'm somebody that went through panic attacks, anxiety attacks, and I've had the pleasure to be skilled at NLP, for example, to get people to start shifting their mind to something different. I get people, even just with my book, I have a whole breathing exercise, and I was shocked to say, man, my anxieties are getting better. It is not about eliminating it 100%. It's never going to be the target, whatever target you are headed for, whatever goal you have this year. It's nice to achieve your goals, and I think anyone can, 100%. But it's always going to be the journey. Maybe I had 5 anxiety attacks in a month, for example. I'm just speaking in generalized terms, and now I'm having 2 a month. Celebrate that. It's not about perfection. It's about progression, that you're becoming lighter, more peaceful, more energy, more abundant in any area of your life because it's possible.
I'm going to triple that because I having worked with patients for so many years, there were the ones that, they'd get 90% better, but they were still focused on that 10% that hadn't gotten better. And just that amount of negativity made their reality so negative, whereas somebody else could get 20% better and they'd be celebrating that and they'd keep themselves on the momentum path of continued improvement because they were focusing on what was getting better. So it literally changed their reality because you're right. And I love what you said. You're not guaranteeing yourself a positive solution, but your chances of succeeding are far greater if you come to the table with that idea that, yes, I'm going to be the one that succeeds. And if you don't, then it's, oh, wow, look what I just learned by going up against that challenge.
Oh, 100%. You're no longer the person that was afraid to go for the thing. You're not the person that had the guts to pursue the thing that most people are afraid to pursue. That alone increases your confidence, even if you didn't get the thing. You're like, I did it, right? And then in your journey of attempting to get the thing, you discover so much more about yourself. It's not even funny. It's not even funny. And until you take the action, until you get rejection, until you go for it, not giving a hoot if I get a yes or no, you're just in the focus on the journey and who you are becoming in the journey, right? Then it won't really matter because you know who you are, and the rejection is just part of life. I get rejected all the time, and I'm like, that's okay. I'm just closer to that yes. I got rejected over 30 publishers that didn't want to publish The More Mindset. And quite frankly, Wiley, they're one of the largest globally in personal development. I am not the Kardashians. I don't have a Martha Stewart background. Like, I don't have 1 million followers on Instagram. Maybe I will one day, but I don't have it now. And every publisher said, oh, you don't have a big platform, but love her message. And my agent, I said, I'm going to rewrite the book. I don't like it. And she's like, there's nothing wrong with your book. You just need one editor, one out of the thousands, one to believe in your message. And you know what I did? I doubled down on that one. And
beautiful.
hear stories like this all the time. 1% chance. I have a pleasure of having Amberly Log on my podcast, which anybody that follows me will see that episode. And the doctor said, you have 1% chance of saving your leg. She doubled down on, well, if I have 1%, then there's a chance. So just focus on the percentage. That's even if they say there's only 1% chance you'll survive this business or this, whatever it is you're going for. I'm telling you, the more you focus on that chance, if it's 80%, even better, still do it. Focus on that. And you'll see what that does, because what people don't understand from a surface level, right? And I was there too, and just kind of like, wait, you just think positive and you just think the things you want is just going to show up? Like, huh? Right? Like, I'm like, how does that just happen? I've been thinking that I was going to, I don't know, marry someone for the rest of my life. And turns out he was abusive and I became a single mom. Like, how does that happen? Right. But you got, the secret sauce that's behind the scenes that you don't see with your eyes, you don't touch it. And that's energy. This isn't, this isn't about religion. Like, I have my own religion, but this is science that doesn't lie. We are a vibrational energy. And when I'm thinking positive, I'm omitting a frequency, and you will attract whatever you're in vibration in. And I always tell my husband, my kids, clients, I'll say it to you guys, it's going off the beating of your drum, whatever that is, good or bad. That's what you're now attracting to you. And if I ask you, think about a yellow car after we hang up. When you go to the grocery store, when you drive, wherever you go, I want you to think about a yellow vehicle. You're only going to notice yellow vehicles because I just gave your mind a direction. So
it's like when you buy a certain type of car, all of a sudden you start seeing them everywhere. They were there the whole time, but you just didn't see them.
Right. And that's all it is. It's not some magical trick. It's not some genie in a bottle. It's you telling your mind, I want you to only notice a good outcome. I always say I always attract beautiful connections. I always attract best things that come my way. All things that happen is for my greater good. And yes, that includes the nose. It might hurt. And you're like, what? I thought this was going to happen. And you're like, right. But there's a sense of just knowing and trusting the process that even when it doesn't work out, it's working out. Because
how on earth could you go out and teach persistence if you went and talked to one editor and they said, yes, I'll publish your book, and they were the number one on their planet? I mean, how are you going to teach persistence from that point of view?
Persistence. Yeah. I mean, I think it's just being so committed to your journey, right? It's like you're going, okay, so I'm from San Diego. I now live in Connecticut between New York and Boston. So let me just give you metaphorically, I'm driving to San Diego. I'm going to take a road trip. And that's where I'm headed. Am I going to sit there and say, what if I get a flat tire? What if I run out of this? No, but I'm going to prepare. I'm going to make sure I have a budget for gas, for hotel rooms, whatever my journey is, right? And then you go and I end up like, I don't know, in New Mexico. I'm almost there, but I'm not really there yet. I'm in New Mexico. And then something happens in New Mexico that, again, I get a flat tire. Okay. Well, now the car sucks. Maybe the car is bad. Okay. Am I going to just go back home? No, I'm going to figure out how to get a different vehicle, do maybe a different rental or something to get me there. Right. So when you're open for possibilities, right? Like maybe this isn't working out. What else do I need to do? I think that's what it is more than anything. Once you've exhausted all the things, then yes, at some point you have to be like, maybe this isn't for me. Maybe I have to pivot. But you don't give up because you got 1 or 2 or 3, in my case, over 20 no's, right? I knew. I even told my agent, I said, if I'm going to do this myself. It's almost like that mindset of they're not going to open a seat at the table, then I'll make my own seat. And it's not coming of a place of conceit or arrogance. It's just, you got to be your biggest fan. Whatever it is that you're doing, you have to be your biggest fan. I know this sounds really, really corny. I'm going to express this because when people don't really know know me personally, when I got this book physically, it was a very emotional, like, wow. But then I was so excited, believe it or not. And I've read this book. I wrote it. My gosh, I tore it apart. And even now I'm on chapter 3. I love the fact that I have a physical book that I could read myself. You have to be that much of a fan in your own work, whatever it is that you're doing. Right? Because when you bring a different level of commitment. You just do. And if you haven't found something that you really feel that committed to, that's okay. A lot of people don't. until they do some self-reflection and really find what's my true meaning. What's the true thing that lights my heart on fire? What's that thing? Because let me just tell you guys, you're going to be 90 one day. And even at 90, I always say this, I'm going to be going to some conference, learning more about the beautiful brain that we have and all that, they're discovering about the other parts of our brains that we haven't tapped into, but you are going to be at, 90, 95 one day. And even then I feel like my life won't be over, but I'll be able to look back. And I think my fear would be to live in regret. I think that's what drives me, is that we get one life. And every single one of you, I don't know your backgrounds, but quite frankly, it doesn't matter what your background is. If you're employed or unemployed, each of you have your own unique gifts, and you can help and make an impact on somebody else's life at any capacity, quite frankly.
Beautiful. Love that. So who else has got a question that they're eager to ask? The only silly question is one that you don't ask.
Or even a comment or something. I know sometimes people get shy, but don't be shy. Thank you for joining. You came for a reason, and I'm sure, hopefully something resonated with you.
Or if you have a question about how the subconscious mind can best be manipulated to get from where you are to where you want to go. And the word manipulate doesn't need to be a negative word. It means to get from where you are to where you want to go on purpose.
Like an influence, for sure. Right.
Cool. Hi, Diana. Karen knows I'm always one to speak up if no one else has something to say.
We love that about you, Mark.
Yeah. So much. You said so many things that are really resonating and on many levels. And I'll speak for myself because I'm dancing with a lot of really important topics that relate to the story that's outside of my awareness. That's one that my subconscious is holding on to for dear life because it knows my heart so desperately wants to step into that infinite field of possibilities, which is the unknown. And in that story and the energy of it is where the fear and the anxiety and the doingness to prove the worthiness and all of that is still there. And not to get stuck in the story, but just to experience and be aware that it's there. So it's annoying as hell because I know it's there, and I know it's just hiding really, really well. And what you've brought up a few times, though, I wrote a few things down because you talked a little, or a lot, what I heard was a lot about the mind. So that I'm thinking how I feel. I'm thinking that the thoughts that I think are what determine what I believe, and that's what leads to the energy and all that. But what I did is I sort of flipped those around and said, instead of I'm thinking how I feel, I wrote, I'm feeling how I think. And so what came to me was actually, instead of feeling, I'm thinking, and the thinking is what's keeping me stuck in that story. And when I'm feeling, that's the path. And then I wrote thinking positive and feeling positive, because thinking anything that I'm doing from up here is almost certainly keeping me from feeling in here. And so again, for me, being a person who likes to consume information and figure things out and learn and all of that, accumulate information and wisdom masked under the name of knowledge. So I'm not sure if anything I'm saying is even remotely coherent, but I'm sensing that you're feeling into me. So I'd love to get your reflections.
No, of course. I mean, you hit the nail on the head. When you're feeling a certain way, I always ask, well, That's easy. What are you thinking about? Right? If you're thinking a certain thing, well, I pretty much know what you're feeling. So they go, it's like it's a cycle that keeps repeating itself, right? And the only way to interrupt that is to start thinking differently. That's just a reality. Unconsciously, yes, they'll try to lure you back. And it sounds like you know it exists because you still either you're hearing it, right? There's dialogues that are happening, and we make images in our mind. We're actually visually making images. So if I asked you, for example, Mark, what did you have for dinner last night? You're going to automatically see yourself on the couch, for example, having pizza. Or I was in my car, I was in the middle of things and I was eating in my car, but you're going to mentally go to that visual of where you were, right? Same thing with whatever it is that you're thinking about. We make images, and it sounds kind of creepy. Like, what do you mean images? But we're making images. Oh, it looks this way. If I say I want to go on that dream vacation, I'm looking at sand. I'm feeling almost warm because I know it's sunny and bright. So, right, it's almost like you're in a movie theater and you're watching this projector of your life, of yourself. I have gone through, and I'm sure Dr. Tara has done many of this as well. I've gotten people to get over phobias of flying, phobias of this, all by just rewiring your brain. And you can do it for yourself. Imagine, all of you, take a deep breath, get yourself calm your nervous system. It's not hard. You can do it in 1 minute. You can do it in 5. I mean, you can go deep and do it in 20, but you don't need to, right? The more calm you are in the calmer state, your nervous system quiets, then you start playing a movie and put yourself in a movie theater. And you're watching a movie of yourself and it's playing out the way you want. And then hit the remote and pause it. Because that's when the fear happened, that dialogue, that thing that unconsciously. And now you're like, I am the producer of my movie. I am the producer of my movie. So rewrite the script. And you can laugh, and you can, maybe some of you, I'm not saying you're laughing, but maybe if any of you have any doubt, believe you me, I have been there. And I challenge you, I encourage you, just take a note. And do this, practice 3 times, 4 times, 5 times, and watch what starts to change in your life. And then I want to hear from you, because this is not if it happens for you, might not happen to some people. This is a given. It's going to make you feel differently about your life. There's science that says everything that we do, the book deal that I got, whatever you've ever gotten, maybe that job that you loved, that you wanted to have, whatever, maybe you moved out of state and that was whatever you're doing, you do it twice. That means I did this, whatever success I've had it done twice, because the first place that it happens is in our minds. Isn't that weird to think about? Like, what? It can't be true unless you've imagined it on some level. Even engineers that are I say this a lot, building bridges. They can't build it without having a vision in their minds, and then they put it to paper, and then they have it on blueprints, right? And architect papers, like, that's, just imagine that. That's where it's at. But it's so simplistic that people are like, yeah, right, I'm not going to just think of it and it just appears. It's everything that it's doing from even a chemically in your minds, and the things that get formed changes how you feel. And then your antennas that actually notice the yellow car, because I told you, notice this, that goes up. So now you're basically, guys, what matters, what that means is now you're playing at a different playing field. You're always on a field, but you just elevated yourself. And now your mind, your awareness, Mark, when you're driving, you're gonna notice something when you're in the elevator with somebody, when you are, whatever it is that you're doing now, you have a different level of awareness that you didn't have before, because you were focused on the limitations, the fear, the subconscious, having bad habits and bad thinking, and not interrupting the pattern and not choosing something different. And the more you do that and you get into the habit, get yourself in that state, close your eyes, do a deep breath. You can park and do it in the car, just don't be driving, but you have to park. You can do it at home, and imagine yourself in a movie theater. Nobody's there but you. And you're sitting there looking at your life and you're playing the movie, and then move yourself to the very front. And and let me tell you something, when you're playing this movie and you're not smiling, feeling good, like, yes, I'm at that place. Maybe I found my life partner. Whatever, I need specifics. I can talk about specifics, but, or maybe I'm living in my brother's basement. I want to get my own place. What does that look like? I can't tell you how many times I've coached and I've asked people of all ages, of all backgrounds, males, females, doesn't matter. What do you want to achieve this year? And I get deer and headlights. like they look at me like deer in headlights, right? But when you ask a 10-year-old, what do you want for Christmas from Santa? They'll go to town. Do you know why that happens? Because unfortunately, for a lot of realists, and I know there's times to be real, like this is a reality, you're just focused unconsciously on your reality today. Today, I don't have the right money. Today, I don't have the right connections. Today, I don't have freedom. I don't have enough energy. Whatever you're lacking is so front and center that it blocks your clarity to think and feel like, what do I want to accomplish? Like, I know I want a different outcome, but what is it? Right? And so the more you play those movies and you imagine yourself, it's going to change how you feel. And then that's where habits come into play. You can't just imagine it and go sit on a couch and do nothing, right? But that's where motivation, most people believe that motivation is something that you have to feel to do the thing. And that's actually a bunch of crap. If I had to feel motivated for all the things I had to do, even the things that I love my podcast, I love speaking, but even that sometimes becomes a bit much. It is not the motive. Don't wait to feel motivated. Just commit and say, on Monday, I'm going to do this. On Tuesday, I'm going to do that every day. And don't overwhelm yourself. I'm going to try 5 new habits all in 1 week. For you overachievers, I know it's been done. I've been there myself. And other times I overwhelm myself. So if there's just one thing, it could be just writing down every day what you're grateful for. That changes your big time. That would change your life, by the way. If you haven't practiced gratitude every single day, man, I can go on about 12 different nuggets, but I hope that, I gave you a good stuff to think about. Because the more you focus on what you want, the more you get into that channel, the more it changes how you feel, the more habits you form, you're going to diminish. Trust me on this. You will diminish. This is a fact. You will diminish the unconscious bias that exists because you now are replacing that. Just be patient with it and keep going.
Was that helpful, Mark?
Everything's helpful. Thank you. That was interesting. Could you just, the last thing, unconscious bias. Is that what you just said? Unconscious bias?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Thanks. I love that one.
And it is, I can't tell you how many people I connect with who, set up a GPS call with me and I ask them, what do you want? And they're run down the list of what they don't want. And right there is the part of the biggest problem because that's where the focus is. And it just can't be overemphasized, the power of focus, because there's millions of pieces of input that are going on around us every single day. And our tiny little conscious mind that's capable of processing about 40 bits of information compared to the 40 million bits that's going on every second in the subconscious mind, that's only a little tiny bit. And so what we choose to focus on, that ends up being our reality. And we just can't overstate the importance of that.
And even Dr. Terry, if I can just comment on that, because when you have fear of any kind and you're like, I can't tell you, even my own husband I've had arguments with, and he's reading the more mindset, okay? But the point is that he'll say, not even him, but just fear in general. When you don't change the channel, when you don't grab your rescue inhaler, when you don't change your channel of focus, I think that one other thing that people don't realize very often actually is that yes, hard to swallow, but you can single-handedly make the problem worse. And it's not about pretending it doesn't exist. It's how do we put the flame down? Maybe it's a big fire. How do we eliminate the fire so that it's lower? Because if it's a big fire in your face, it'll cripple you. So by the approach that you give the challenge or the problem or the fear is going to really determine how quicker you're going to get through it. It doesn't have to be long and painful. If it takes you 6 months to get over something, could you do it in 2 months? Right? I think that's what it's about. So.
And progress is really important also. When you take steps to do something, and persistence, just not giving up. Richard Bandler, who both Diane and I are very fond of, he says he doesn't write books, he completes books. So right away, he's set it in his mind, I'm going to be the person that finishes the books. And then if you just stay on the course, it's not, you don't fail as long as you just keep making progress in that direction.
I love that you mentioned Richard Bandler because this is something that I love that he said. And I'm always fast forwarding. Like I run a business, multiple businesses, and I'm always in the conference room thinking about the end result. And it's one of the things that I have to battle with these freaking executives. They're like, what are you talking about? We need to be in the weeds. Like, no, we'll get to the weeds, but let's just look at the outcome. Let's fast forward to the outcome. And Richard Bandler said something that I find on my podcast episode. You can find it, but he said, it's just like washing dishes. You have a big pile of dishes. Who wants to wash dishes? You have a big pile of dishes, for example. Do you think about, oh God, I have to do these dishes, and then you're in the weeds and dishes and doing all this long, you're never going to feel motivated to do it. But then when you fast forward, like, okay, well, when I wash these dishes, it's already done. Like it's already the finish line. I know for somebody like, oh, that's it. It's not just it, but start there. Look at the end result of you accomplishing the thing. That right there will change even a tiny shift that you may not see, but you're going to feel different about the thing.
And that could be anything, whether it's completing a course at school, saving money for something. If you're focused on the end point and then you're just that much closer to it, then you're feeding on that progress. These minds really like dopamine, and dopamine.
Oh yeah.
Anytime you can check off that box in the direction of what you want is a win. So we have time for a couple more questions. Who else has got a question? Can be about fear, the subconscious mind, what it takes to get through a difficult time, anything. The only bad
Don't raise your hand at once.
the only bad question is one that doesn't get asked.
I can ask a question. It's not about anything like that. Hi, my name is Melissa. I'm new to this area from Vermont, and I joined this Joe Dispenza group recently.
Oh, I'm so happy to have you here. I was just on the phone with somebody in Vermont. She said the wind chill was -40.
Be out of there and to be here in Nashville. And that's there's many reasons I wanted to leave Vermont, but one of them is just the long winters year after year gets old. It's like 5 or 6 months of freezing cold ice winter. It's a lot year after year. But I also made a huge life transition this year. Like we owned restaurants in Vermont for 25 years, but I was an energy healer. I became an energy healer in 1999, and I love it. And I just one day a week would have my practice. But for the last 10 years, I've wanted to more deeply work one-on-one with people. And I was afraid. I was afraid to leave the restaurant and what was paying our bills and what we knew and all the things. But we finally made it happen where we sold our restaurants and rented our house and moved here. And I became a life coach. And this is what drew me to this. And so now I'm here and I'm so excited to be in this new place, but I'm having a really hard time figuring out how to get myself out there, how to meet people, how to find clients. I have a few clients that I work with and I love the work I do. And I feel really natural and happy when I'm doing it, but I'm having a really hard time. I don't know, Vermont is very small and I lived in a very small town and everybody knows everyone. And now I'm in Nashville and, I'm living in Hendersonville, which is a little outside of it, but it's the biggest area.
I'm in Hendersonville too. We're going to have to say hello.
Oh, good. Well, that's so cool. I'm really feeling really happy here and it feels like so the right place, but I'm just really struggling with how do I market myself? How do I meet people? How do I get clients and do what I want to do? And yeah, I don't know if you have
the first step is when you say do what I want to do you know what that looks like?
Life coaching and energy healing. That's been my heart desires to work one-on-one with people, help them, through so many things. Because of the energy healing, I've worked with so many clients through so many things. And I think that's part of my marketing struggle is finding out how to niche myself. But I don't know. I just have a hard time connecting and getting the word out and being able to get clients to work one-on-one with.
Well, when you do one-on-one, are you doing those would you do those on Zoom or?
Yeah, life coaching on Zoom. For energy healing, I do that in person. And I did just get a shared space at the Healing Society in Nashville. So
good for you.
Person, thank you. Life coaching is on Zoom.
So yeah, first off, open your capacity. The fact that you're on Zoom, that's you're global. you're global, right? So start thinking global and that you have a bigger reach. And I would say social media. I mean, that's like the front and center. Do you have social media?
Yes, and I've been making an Instagram post once a week for like 3 months now. Nothing from it. Nothing.
Well, you got to be more than that. It's got to be every day, even if it's just whatever it is. I know when I started, it was like, oh, I was posting once a week as well. And so you really have to be about it every single day that you got to show value, right, Dr. Tara? Like showing value when you get nothing in return at first, right? You always want to just show value of any kind. Right. As far as locally, I don't know. When I've done events, Eventbrite has been amazing. You can do like a free workshop just to get people in the door. Eventbrite is huge. People actually will show up to events for that's free all the time. So yes, you have to weed out the people that aren't your client, but getting your word out from an in-person perspective. I don't do in-person from a local perspective, so I couldn't really, but that's just events. I would say that to get your name out would be great. If you have a space, maybe you can collaborate with other people, other influencers in Nashville. That's always been a popular thing, to collaborate with other people that are in the space of where your clients live. Like, where are your clients? Like for me, there's different areas where my clients live, but could you collaborate with somebody that has your clients? Could you collaborate and do something on Zoom or something on live or an in-person event that you bring your expertise and they bring their expertise? So, right.
Okay.
I would start there. But as far as social media, it's not hard. You can get really creative. Once you've made some money, you can put some ads out about what you do, offer something for free, that you do a webinar, or you offer anything like 5 steps or a newsletter. So get people to start going in your funnel. You have to build your own community, I guess, right? So that you become slowly but surely with your work known. So
Yeah.
good for you for doing something that really lights your heart on fire. Having restaurants, you're right, like that paid the bills. And so I've been there myself, where it's like, I want to do this other thing, but this is where my income is coming from. So you're on the right path that you did it. So that's great. Most people don't. So good for you for doing it.
And notice the outcomes that your people are getting, and that's what your kind of brand gets to be. So it could be for what you experienced as well, because a lot of people do go from corporate jobs that they hate to things that are more nourishing, and the benefits that gives you, you can encapsulate that and communicate that to other people, because there's a lot of people that are wanting to make that transition. And when people say to you, when you work with somebody and they go, oh my gosh, I was here, but now I'm here and this feels so much better. I have much more freedom, physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, capture those things so that you're able to communicate those to other people and find more of those ideal people for you.
Love that. Thank you. Thank you. That was so helpful. Thanks.
Who else has got a question? We got room for another question here. Don't be shy.
Does everybody make their goals for 2026?
Ooh, that's a good question.
What are you going to accomplish in December and be able to look back and say, wow, I made this happen? Or
yeah, that's a very sobering thought, to realize that in a year has have gone by. What is really important in the next year that you really like to just knock out of the park?
And whether you do it here or you do it on your own, where it's a good reflective thing, and then like, okay, what do I want? That now I know this is what I'd like to achieve. This is what I need to achieve, whatever. And then having goals that match that. You have to have activity that matches how you're going to get there, right? You need a roadmap. That's called execution at its finest. Right? Otherwise, they're just going to live in the clouds and you're going to hope for it. But in reality, there's been nothing. Pen to paper is a beautiful thing if you have it. And that's okay if you haven't. But definitely get on it with, it could be a personal goal. Doesn't always have to be business or work related. But to me, I do a full circle, because what happens in my personal life affects my business. What happens in my business affects my personal life. So to me, I don't separate it. Balance, where's the balance? Like, you get to decide where you spend your time, what takes priority. at any given season. Maybe this season, this is your priority, but maybe the next season in the summer or whatever, your priorities change, right? Yeah. So hopefully you guys have all your goals and your plan that you want to make happen this year, and coming from a place of endless possibilities that really do exist for you.
And if you're not taking steps in the direction that you want, what's up with that?
Yeah. What's a struggle, I guess, right? Or maybe just a challenge, or maybe you're like, I don't know where to start. That's very normal. And even just the questions, I always say, like, audit yourself with how you're speaking to yourself, because we all do it. This is part of our brain. Like, you might be in the shower and you're like, oh, I'm never going to do this thing, or I'm going to have time. I don't have time to do this thing, or I'm too tired. I always say, like, it's not humanly possible to literally audit over 70,000 thoughts that we have a day. But that's a really good one. And you'd be surprised at what you uncover by just monitoring your thoughts. Instead of saying, I don't have what it takes to make this happen, say, what do I need? What do I need to make this happen? See the difference? It's a very different shift of language.
And it's not like you have to figure out 100%. If you start making small changes, which change your thoughts, you change your beliefs, you change your behavior, you change your outcomes. When you get that going in the direction that you want, and that can be piece by piece by piece, it doesn't have to be, you're not going to wave a magic wand and everything's going to become perfect all at once. It'll come in phases, it'll come in pieces. But if you keep making those small changes, that's written up in Kaizen and Atomic Habits. But if you just get 1% better each and every day, which is not huge, but by the end
You're ahead of the game.
no, you're not 365% better by the end of the year. You're 27 times better by the end of the year, because it keeps compounding on itself.
Very true.
So anyway, wanted to thank everybody for being here. Diana, thank you for taking your time out of your busy schedule to be with
Very
us.
awesome. Thank you.
And congratulations on your very exciting news about your book being on the USA Today bestseller list. It's available on audio for anybody who wants to listen to it as well. Just can't say enough. And Diana is a genius when it comes to just picking apart what it is that, it takes to get things from where you are to where you want to go.
I just added my link here for anybody that wants to check out my website. You can get motivation straight to your inbox with my newsletter, and check out my podcast. I always have anything that's, how do we make things happen? Because you're making things happen, whether it's the right thing or the wrong things that I've ever done. And it's full circle. I talk about things with health, things, Dr. Tara's expertise, whether it's, a neuroscience talking about the brain, or just goals, or one that's going to be coming out is about vision boards. I've been such a fan of doing vision boards, like in January and February for the rest of the year. It's really awesome. But we cover it all. So
a lot of people find working with the subconscious mind very strange and mysterious. Do you want to just say a word or two about what it was like working with me with your subconscious mind?
Yes. I mean, I think it's awesome work. I mean, for even Melissa, when you mentioned energy healing, there's so much that we carry sometimes that we don't realize unconsciously. And from what one of the things that I found fascinating is, like, wow, this could be from like our ancestors, which is crazy. But I'm into it, because when you're open, here's the funny thing: when you're open to receive, and you're like, anything goes, because I want to come out better. I want to come out lighter. I want to come out a winner, whatever that looks like. Just be open. Be open to the weird things you might hear. If you're just open, you're going to receive. When you're so closed that I don't believe in this, I don't believe that, like, right? And so I came very open. I was having, a lot of things with my book. I felt like there was a lot of emotions that were coming back, resurfacing. And just having, somebody like Dr. Tara that has the ability to also bring you back to a different time in your life that maybe you don't even know was started. Could have started when you were 5, maybe when you were in college or beyond, but you know what you feel. If you don't feel worthy, if you don't feel safe, if you don't feel loved, whatever, it will affect you. It's like chains that you don't like see, but you might feel, or like, Mark was saying earlier about it's unconsciously, it's definitely there. You can clear that. And so, yes, Dr. Tara is amazing at that.
Well, thank you so much. Yes. Well, there's so many great tools out there. I love to say we stand on the shoulders of giants. There's great teachings out there. 50 years ago, there wasn't a fraction of what's available today. Now there's like wonderful podcasts, wonderful resources. And really, if you're stuck, you plug into that for at least 30 minutes a day, whether it's a podcast, a book, and just realize that just by making tweaks and changes, because it's crazy. We just do the same thing. If we go on autopilot, then we do this think the same things, say the same things, react the same way, and then we don't change. We're just in that same thing over and over and over again. And when
a hamster on a wheel.
Yeah, and when you start getting in there, making changes, then it's crazy. And Diana proved that she could go from growing up with nothing to being on the bestseller list, and she did it because she envisioned it, and she said, "That's where I'm going. I'm gonna be that 1%."
Definitely.
Thanks everybody for being here. We'll send out the recording shortly, and if for those of you who are interested, my podcast is Next Level Healing, available on all platforms. And for those that are interested in working personally with me, you can go to consulttara.com or nashvillehealer.com and set up a time to talk with me. Thank you, everybody. We'll see you soon. This podcast is intended for the purpose of providing information and education. It does not provide advice and is not meant to be used for any self-diagnosis or the replacement of any kind of licensed professional. The creators and individuals appearing here do not endorse any specific tests, positions, medications, products, or procedures. The views and opinions expressed in this podcast are of the speakers and do not necessarily reflect the views or positions of any entities they represent.